But we begin this morning just over 3 weeks away from Donald Trump's re-entering the Oval Office. And when he does, he may revive one of the most controversial policies from his first term, family separations at the border. Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, tells NBC News family detentions will happen, and the ensuing separations will be up to the parents. During the first Trump administration, Homan oversaw the so-called zero-tolerance policy, which led to thousands of children being separated from their parents, hundreds of whom have still not been reunited. Homan recently spoke to NBC News' Sam Brock.
The impending clash between the incoming administration and sanctuary cities looks closer to combustion after San Diego's Board of Supervisors approved a measure requiring the feds obtain a judicial warrant for undocumented migrants already in their jails.
Bottom line is I'm shocked at what San Diego did. And bottom line, we're still coming to San Diego when we do our job. Look, it's more difficult, but we're still doing it.
Thomas Homan is President-elect Trump's border czar and the former director of ICE. You see San Diego's recent actions as having no legal muster, and you're just going to move right through that?
I think San Diego's legal action is going to be will be in litigation.
It's the latest salvo in a showdown over immigration policy that also affects cities like San Francisco, Chicago, and New York.
It's unfathomable to hear that the incoming administration wants to devastate over 28 million American families in this country who live in mixed status households.
Murad Awauda is president of the New York Immigration Coalition. He's also concerned that Trump's controversial family detention policy may be back on the table.
You need to understand it's not in we say detention, but it's not in a jail setting. This is actually an open air campus family type facility that is open air, right? So we're not talking about razor wire and a penal institution, things like that. They have child care, they have education and programs.
There is no such thing as a soft detention site. There's no humane way of detaining children in prisons, because that's what it ends up becoming, even if it's a tent structure.
President-elect Trump has promised deportation on a mass scale starting as soon as he steps into office, as concerns over family separations remain high. Do you worry, though, that you will actually be separating children from their parents and punishing children for the actions of their parents?
Our plan, we have no plan to separate children from parents. The parents will have to make a decision. That's parenting 101. I'm going to say it again. If you choose to have a child here in the United States while you know you're here illegally and you know you're on a court order to deport, that's on you.
A 2023 consent decree between the Biden Department of Justice and the ACLU banned family separations for 8 years. Do you believe the decree needs to be reexamined?
I think, yeah, we need to re-examine that, see if it makes sense from a national security perspective.
Homan also said that a decades-old agreement that prevents the detention of children for more than 20 days needs to be looked at again and potentially relitigated. Sam Brock, NBC News, New York.
And thanks to Sam for that report. We're joined now by former Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo and Brendan Buck, former staffer to House Speakers John Boehner and Paul Ryan. Carlos, I want to start with you. Family separations were politically unpopular, not just with Democrats, but with Republicans. Not to mention, they're now legally banned. So why suggest a move that could lead to more families being split up? And how would they even put this into practice, given that it's been banned by a court judge?
Well, that's right. Immigration is an issue where Donald Trump and Republicans are on offense, right? We know that it was the weakest issue for Joe Biden during his presidency. It was a very weak issue for Vice President Harris during her campaign. And it was really the issue, just like in 2016, that Donald Trump emphasized the most and got elected doing so. So Republicans definitely have public support for addressing the immigration issue in a meaningful way, but there is certainly risk there if they get too aggressive, if they come across as cruel to innocent people, to people who are in this country not committing crimes or not cheating, but just trying to live in peace, then that there could be a backlash. And like you said, not just among Democrats, but also among Republicans in Congress who are probably going to face some headwinds in the 2026 midterm election. So there is a careful balancing act here, even though Republicans do have the wind at their backs when it comes to the immigration issue.
Yeah, Brendan, I want to ask you about that exact thing. You know, there was this swell of public opposition to the zero tolerance policy the first time around. Could Trump be undercutting his own support if they, pursue these cruel policies?
Yeah, the how is really important, not just the what here. I mean, immigration enforcement as a concept, very popular. And there's a lot of things that Donald Trump could be doing in a few weeks here, a few months, that I think would be really beneficial to him. If he's able to stem the tide of people coming across the border and put in really strong border enforcement, I think that will be really popular. When it comes to the interior enforcement, though, as Carlos said, significant risk. And I think Donald Trump appreciates that. When he gets asked about this in any more specificity, he always pivots to, well, we're just going to start by going after the criminals and the dangerous people who are here. Now, that's much easier said than done. If people knew that there were dangerous criminals here, we would be deporting them already. So I think he understands after the experience of his first term that there are ways that you can do this that become really unpopular. If we know anything about Donald Trump, he wants to be popular. I think Tom Homan here is a political liability for him. Tom Homan clearly has so much zeal for this issue and so much disregard for the views of other people on this, that if he sort of let loose to run wild on this, he could do some things that I think would be very damaging to Donald Trump politically, not to mention the real world effects of these people who are in this country. So I think this is something Donald Trump and his team need to keep a close eye on, not just letting Tom Homan do whatever he wishes.
Yeah, for a Republican coalition that seemed really on the same page when folks went to the polls in November, we're already seeing these divisions within the party. And Carlos, right now there's this feud brewing.